It's an interesting story, really, I suppose. So, one thing that's always been really fundamental in how I make decisions is introspection. I've always felt that it's very important to me to understand why I think what I think. And this has led me to, I think, perhaps an unusually self-consistent way of thinking. I kind of always have good answers to questions along the lines of why, you know. But you can take that too far. So
naturally you're very analytical.
Well, either it's natural or I've got that way over time through training, through self-training, through just habit. But one way or another, yeah, I'm very introspective. I like to understand why I think what I think. And there's two aspects to that that in a sense are conflicting, but which have jointly led me to a very strong level of peace, self-esteem, but also satisfaction with who I am and why I am who I am. First thing is that I've just done this a lot. I started thinking this kind of way even when I was a kid somehow, and I don't really know why I started thinking this way. I think it was really must have been something to do with how I was brought up by my mother, who definitely was, extraordinarily formative for me. But even when I was 8 or 9 years old, there was one big thing that happened that I always come back to, a particular event that sticks in my mind, where I was fighting with my mother about practicing the piano. I didn't want to practice the piano, but somehow or other I did want to understand why I didn't want to practice the piano. And so I thought about it. And I came to the rather rapid conclusion that the main reason I didn't really see much attraction in spending my time tapping away at this thing was that the best possible consequence of spending all this time would be that I would become a good pianist. And that didn't seem like much of a consequence, because there were already a lot of really good pianists, so I would be adding negligibly to the overall, quality of life of humanity. And somehow that, I don't know why that came to me, but over time, over the next few years, it crystallized into an understanding that what I wanted to do with my life was to make a difference.
At what age did this happen?
Well, I'm saying probably 8 or 9 was the initiating event with the piano, right? And so, yeah, by the time I was in my mid-teens, it was clear to me that I definitely wanted to be a scientist, because I was very clear that scientists made the most difference in the long run. They make the most progress. And quite soon after that, I started to discover that I was a pretty good programmer, and so I got into artificial intelligence research after I graduated. The idea being, you can affect a lot of people's lives by automation, by developing machines that are smart enough to relieve us of the tedium of going down mines and, serving hamburgers and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's what I did for several years. And when I met my wife, who's a biologist, and we ended up talking about biology, and I learned a lot of biology by accident over the dinner table, and eventually we started talking about aging, I was completely horrified to discover that she wasn't interested in aging, and indeed that basically all the other biologists I was meeting were also uninterested in aging. I thought, well, hang on, this makes no sense. Aging is obviously the world's most important problem. Biologists are the world's best equipped people to work on it. What the fuck, And so it took me a good couple of years to really come to terms with that, to really believe that this could be true. But eventually I did, and I was in a good, fortunate position to switch fields. Basically, I was doing my research in my spare time already, and I had a very undemanding bioinformatics job that was paying the bills. So switching to spending my spare time in a different way was a risk-free enterprise. But the other thing that I think is important about all of this is if you go one step deeper, if you ask, why do I want to make a difference? I'm also, in some sense, I'm satisfied with not having an answer to that. I'm satisfied with the fact that that's just axiomatic for me, that's just who I am. nobody criticises me for being that way, so I guess that's okay. But also, I don't really feel that there is an explanation. I feel that's just like, it's how I am.